Welcome in, family. Welcome in to Exposure's Meet the Board webinar experience. So I want to first say hello to my fellow board members. How's everyone feeling today?
Awesome.
Awesome. How you doing, brother?
We need some energy. All right. So just to kind of let you guys know what we're going to be doing today for this experience, we're going to spend a little time talking to each one of Exposure's board members so you can get a little bit of insight into, first of all, who we are, what kind of our focus is going into this year. And then we're going to open up at the end for Q&A. So whatever you want to know, we want to be here to serve and answer those questions. It's a very exciting time for Xposure. It's a very exciting year because we're in the midst of our own evolution, and I think there's no one better to start that conversation off than with Kelly. So we're going to get that conversation started with her. But again, I want to welcome our board members. We've got Rock, we've got Dave, we've got Juanita, we've got Michaela, we've got Brandon, and last but certainly not least, Kelly. And I want to encourage any of you that are not members of Xposure, please go to our website. It's down in the corner. Find out what it is that we're all about and join our mission. So I'm going to allow you guys to meet each one of our board members more intimately here very shortly. But we're going to start with Miss Kelly Ballou McMillan. So I'm going to pop everyone else out, and Kelly and I are going to have a quick little conversation, and then we're going to move on to the rest of the board members. Let us know where you're at in the chat. Let us know if you're thinking about questions, you're thinking about things you want to know about Xposure. Please get into the comments. We want this to be as collaborative as possible and make sure that we're answering your questions. All right. See the rest of you guys real soon. All right, Kelly. How are you today?
I'm good. I started the day off with a run. I saw you got your walk on. I'm good. I'm feeling energized.
I got my walk on. You got your run on. Your makeup is looking fantastic.
I mean, thank you. Thank you. It's one of those self-care things. It's funny that you called that out because I'm not normally a makeup girly, but I was like, you know what? Let me try something different. It's kind of getting outside of your comfort zone. So yeah, thanks.
Well, it looks great. So hey, let's hop straight into it. The first question that I want to ask you, as one of our founding board members, we've kind of had a transition this year from a terminology standpoint. Yeah. And so I'd like to ask you to tell us a little bit more about why we made that change and what culture and belonging means.
Yeah, I mean, when we first started this organization 5 years ago, a little less than 5 years ago, we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary later this year. We really wanted to be the place that increased the amount of Black and Brown people in the telecommunications channel, right? It was literally about, we wanted to see more people that look like us, because with that brings this level of authenticity and collective community that hopefully then is authentic in who we are and our diverse thoughts that we bring to the table because of our, multiple backgrounds. And so then obviously we spearheaded and kind of transitioned very quickly into what we consider a diversity council, because we realized that while trying to bring people into this space, we needed to make sure that it was a comfortable space for those to come into. Over the past few years, we've done work like helping with the name change, or advocating and pushing for the name change from master agent to technology services distributor or broker. And that's taken effect. So that was one of those initiatives. Another initiative was our code of conduct for our Informa. We asked Informa and others that are doing big organization meetups to have a code of conduct so people can feel safe. And we've also done a lot of work within some of the other organizations, whether it's a TSD or whether it's individual partners, where we've asked them to create some sort of council or an organization within their space that employees can feel heard and welcome, and that they're a part of the vision of the organization. And because of that, those things, in addition to the work that we will be doing continuously in the future, we'll hear about today. We wanted to transition to something that really explained and broke down exactly what we're doing. And we're fostering a community where you can feel that you can bring your culture, you can be a part of this culture, you can build on it with your experiences, and that you belong.
So, Kelly, can you speak a little bit to, as again, one of our founding board members, can you speak a little bit to the future? Like, what is your vision for what you want Xposure to be?
Oh, that, I mean, my vision is pretty broad, and I think having you on the board has helped me to like taper it down, right? Little chunks of the elephant. And so what my vision is that we do what we set out to do, and we bridge the gap between Black and Brown communities as they look for professionals, as they look to transition into telecommunications and tech, and also entrepreneurs getting into telecommunications and tech. I want to help mentor and bridge the gap between mentorship, via mentorship, and partnerships that we create with other community organizations that have that same mission, but don't have the exposure of the channel. They don't have visibility into this space. I want to help navigate them into this space. So big vision would be that we would have strong partnerships with both community external to the channel and within the channel, so we can be the bridge that everybody can come to this space, because we understand that less than 10% of the channel is made up of Black and Brown people. And that's just not the channel, that's telecommunications and technology. And so us being able to bridge that gap means that we increase the amount of successful organizations, because with diversity comes a diversity of thought and planning for organizations, and innovation and creativity. So that's my goal, to help ensure the channel stays the channel and we continue to grow, but we're going to have an influx of other thoughts, other experiences, to continue to do that.
Thanks, Kels. And lastly, how can people get involved? I know that I've seen it in our marketing. There are folks that have been waiting for kind of our rebrand and our reemergence and want to get involved in Xposure. What's some of the best ways that people can get involved in our community?
Well, one, obviously through our LinkedIn platform, for sure. Going to exposureidc.org. Thank you for you and the team working on the rebrand. It looks amazing. And it really does foster exactly what we're trying to do, which is build community and also help those transition into this space. And I would say figure out what hat you want to wear. A lot of people come and they come to the other board members, and especially to me, where they say, I want to help, and what can I do? And one of the things that we've asked the members and even the board is, what do you want to do? What's a passion for you that you can bring to Xposure? So for some, it's marketing. For others, it's building community. You'll hear from the board members today on the things that inspired them to join our organization. And I want you to feel inspired to join, because there's a passion, there's something that you want to do to build culture and belonging in tech and telecommunications. But also, I want you to feel empowered to raise your hand and say, this is an area of opportunity for us. Can I go run with that charge? Because we are hoping to do that here too. I lost your audio.
I promise you, I'm a professional. Thank you, Kelly, so much for that. For those that want to reach out to you personally, what's the best way to connect with you?
I am on LinkedIn, Kelly Ballou McMillan, and also on Instagram. We have our Instagram platform, Xposure IDC, INDC on Instagram, and then my personal Instagram is KKMac28. So probably need to update that to something more professional, but that's more about like my life, the things that I do in a community on a day-to-day basis. So if you want to get to know me, join me there too.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much. And I'm going to transition right to our our co-founding board member, Mr. Brandon Knight.
How you doing,
Brandon, it's good to see you.
It's good to be here, man. Thank you for working this out, organizing this. I think this is awesome. It's long overdue.
Truly my pleasure. So Brandon, I know as a fellow fan of hip hop, you were thinking the same thing when we announced the meet the board, and then Kendrick and Drake went into this whole battle thing, and I played a little Talib Kweli going into this, but I was thinking about Meet the Grams the whole time. I was thinking about Meet the Grams music, but I figured we might lose some of the audience.
Yeah, we might lose some of them, but I appreciated it though.
So Brandon, let's hop straight into it. As one of our founding board members, you've seen, I mean, you were there from the get-go and to today, and you've seen the transition. And I just wanted to start by asking you, like, what's important to you right now? What's important to you in terms of the future of Xposure and how we serve our community?
Yeah, honestly, the future of Xposure for me, the answer is gonna be a little bit odd because honestly, I feel like if we do what is in our mission, if we do what is in our vision effectively, then the future of Xposure should be less needed. It should be less required. You know, we shouldn't we should elevate the things that we're working on. Right now, I think we're still doing a lot of awareness needs to happen in this space. There's still a lot of things that you wouldn't think would be happening from an equity perspective, from from just people not functioning, on the same page, on the same plane. So I'd like to see the things of exposure initiatives get to the point where we're talking less and even having to do less because people are seeing each other as equal. People are feeling included and welcome and a part of what's going on, and not feeling like they have to be an outsider out of fear, afraid for what somebody's going to think about how they live or who they like or how they talk or any of those things. I'd like to get to the point where those things are less of a concern, honestly.
So, again, having seen the full been part of the full journey, I kind of want to bring people back to because there's some people that are just now being exposed to the work that Xposure is doing, and some that have been involved for a long time. Could you speak a little bit to some of the things that we've done, the organization has done in the past, maybe some of the initiatives that we've led, and in terms of making impact in the community?
Yeah, I think some of the bigger ones, of course, have to do with the name change. A lot of people might not even know that the main reason, the main driver behind moving away from master agent in our channel was Xposure. We led that initiative. We coordinated with the owners of the now TSDs to have that conversation, to come up with a different name, and to move away from that. You go from that to other things that might not be as impactful to the industry, but I guarantee they are more impactful to the individual, is some of the book clubs and putting book bags together for impoverished youth in some of the school districts, with some of the things that were done. And like I said, that's not going to impact a business owner at Xposure, but I guarantee you it impacted the child who got the backpack and stuff like that. Even simple things like us wanting people to be completely balanced, not just emotionally, but physically. So supporting the 5K runs of these various events, and everyone knows I'm not a morning person, but getting out early in the morning and just having an opportunity to share the Xposure message and support those, and even local things. There are several of our partners that have involved us in their own local chapters of DE&I and local chapters of commerce and things that they're doing. And then, of course, things outside of the channel, and even being able to speak at various minority-driven conferences and just making connections, building the network. So there's a lot to this, and thankfully a lot is getting done.
I think, Brandon, that's one of the things that I've respected about you all and the organization is that you've been not afraid to have those difficult conversations, right? You've been not afraid to speak truth to power when you deem it necessary, and right in line with that whole ethos and credo. I want to bring attention to the pledge and
Yes.
Xposure support of that. Would you mind speaking a little bit to that as well?
Not at all. That it's something that is near and dear to me. Thankfully, it's also near and dear to you. So I know you, the host, but honestly, you bringing about this pledge and stepping out on your platform was a big deal because you are a brand. I mean, and you understand marketing more than anybody really that I know. So you took a chance. And to me, that's what Xposure is about. You took a chance and stood up for women in our community that don't always have the voice that they should have. And the pledge is about committing to support a safe environment for them. It's about saying something when you see it, doing something, and if you're not aware, or not personally involved, it's about allyship, asking a woman, learning some of these stories, because that's where the rubber meets the road, as it were. You can see here, I got my pledge pin on. So there's ways that people can do that if they're willing to step up. But I think it's important, and I gotta say this, and this is not a knock against anyone else, but honestly, it's sad. I appreciate the pledge. I'm glad you did it, but it's sad. It's sad that we have an environment. I remember one of the responses to the pledge was a young woman on your LinkedIn post talked about how she prepares herself and the things that she does when she's in these environments, and how she looks out for who's there, and why should she have to do that? Why should she have to in a work environment? Why should a woman have to know who the players are and who she can be safe around? And when somebody says something, how to prepare herself for the response. I think that work is long overdue, and Xposure is proud to be a part of it, and we're not done. And I'm going to say one last thing on that, because I did see. I know you got some responses. I got some as well, because I reposted what you posted and talked about my own pledge. And I had a couple people that I respect, that are known in this space, that kind of didn't like that. And they handled it respectfully, so I didn't have to come out of pocket on nobody. But the way that just the fact that they don't really want it talked about. They say one person told me, well, it makes it a bigger issue than it is. It's not really that big of an issue, but when you guys post about it, it seemed it is a big issue. It's a real issue. Quite frankly, to me, if there's one woman who is uncomfortable being in this space and has to overthink just the opportunity to do her job, then we have a problem that needs to be addressed. So I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off my soapbox right now. But I appreciate you starting that, and I think more people need to get involved.
Well, thank you for the support, and I want to thank the board for your support. And I will say this one thing again. One of the reasons why I am so happy to be part of Xposure and wanted to be part of Xposure is because of the courage of all of y'all that are on this board. So while I may have the biggest mouth, I'm not the only one speaking. I know Dave. I know Dave has done things in regard to this matter long before I did, and I know that every single one of our board members support this. Raquel has, you have, so again, it's nothing for me to use my big mouth and my platform to help elevate a cause that y'all have already shown leadership in. So, Brandon, for those that want to reach out to you personally, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Best way to do that right now is probably LinkedIn. I actually have updated contact information on my LinkedIn. So if you reel about it, you can reach out to me. I'll respond. And speaking of reaching out, I do want to throw out one thing real quick, because we talk about involvement. I love the bigger things that we do, and I want people to get involved in that. But honestly, if you want to get involved, be an individual change manager first. Okay, you be the one that speaks up, that walks the walk, talks the talk, and makes a difference. Because as individuals do that, then we do that collectively. That's how we move. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Now transitioning to Dave. I think that, man, I didn't even plan that. How smooth was that, right? Like, Dave, first, I want to, you've been a longtime board member as well, and I want to acknowledge your contribution to Xposure, but not just Xposure, our community. You are truly someone that is unafraid to speak truth to power. So want to thank you and congratulate you for the work that you've done on behalf of our community. That said, again, you've been involved for quite some time now. So I'd like to know, my first question to you is, what is your vision? What is it that you're hoping that we can accomplish here in 2024? And we'll just start in the immediate future here at Xposure.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And I don't know, you've got competition on the big mouth. You got a big bullhorn. I might have the biggest mouth, and BK's probably got some words there too. But you know, I'm sort of, I was just nodding along with Brandon. Like, one day none of this will be necessary if we get it right. And I don't know if anybody sitting out there notices, but like I look different maybe than the rest of the board here, and it's this idea that I could very comfortably, I'm a known commodity. I run a very successful company that's 15 years old and continues to grow. I could sit and I could be on cruise control, but I have an obligation, a moral obligation, to make sure when I leave this space, and I'm getting older, when I leave, I need it to be a better place than the one I found 20 something years ago when I came into the telecom industry. The industry 20 years ago looked only like me. It was, you know, middle-aged guys running the thing. I want this to be a place where everybody's welcome, everybody's included, race, color, creed, gender, sexual identity, all of it. May the best human being win, is what I like to say. And this is where we need to have the thinking go. My company reflects those beliefs. It looks like the world at large. It doesn't look like me. It looks like the world outside here in Chicago. So I want to see the industry be a safe place, a welcoming place. I want that to happen sooner rather than later. You know, Brandon got a little soapboxy, as we all should, about women's safety. This needs to be a place where everybody can feel comfortable being themselves at all times. And I think it's achievable because I've seen the progress, by the way. Don't take myself and others here saying we got to do better to mean anything other than we got to keep doing better, because we have done better. You know, both Kelly and Brandon referenced that, you know, the sort of death of the term master agent, a term I personally hated with a burning passion. If you want to go find my article that I wrote to contribute to the, you know, the demise of that term, I couldn't have been more gleeful about it, but we still have some work to do. And so I just want to make sure that when we're all sitting around the table, we're just looking at the capabilities and the willingness to work together, and we're letting all the surface level crap go, and we're not judging each other by anything other than the capacities, the abilities, and the contributions that everybody's capable of making. I know that other people have had to work harder than me to get to the level of success I have, and I'd like to have that playing field leveled out, 2024 and beyond.
All right, soapbox off. No, I like you. You're good on the soapbox, though, Dave. I like. Thanks for that share. So, I guess my next question to you is, you know, we've all kind of been assigned some different areas of focus moving into 24, and I wondered if you could share with the community some of what you're working on and some of what your focus is.
Yeah, I'm right now. We're sort of with the amazing, and I'm glad I get to go before her, Juanita here, working on just starting to build this idea of helping people come into all parts of this business, which Kelly mentioned at the outset. There's great corporate jobs here, right? We have, we just heard from Brandon, right? He's an executive at Zoom, a household name. We have amazing entrepreneurs like Ronell and like Anita. I'd like to say I'm in the still learning entrepreneurial camp here, but we want to make sure that those doors are open. This is a fabulous place to work and live and create a life for yourself. I want to share it with everybody, and so we're trying to build content to give people to like, how do I even get into this? The luckiest accident in my life was finding out about the telecom channel, right? I was a corporate telecom guy, like many of us were, and I got introduced to it, and I was like, what is this madness? And I've come to it, and I've built an amazing life for myself, created abundance for my team, continue to do that, can take care of customers in a way like you never could working in corporate telco. So I have so much enthusiasm for this space. And so we're working on mentorship. We're working on creating content. We're working on saying, how do we get more people into this amazing, amazing industry we all get to work in? It's a phenomenal place to ply your trade. And I want young people coming in, and I want everybody to get in the boat here, because this is the most fun you can have having a job, I promise. You muted yourself again. Come on, marketing guy.
About that, I did that twice. Oh my God. That's why you have to have a producer. I can't produce and be the talent at the same time. Dave, where can people get a hold of you?
We've all mentioned LinkedIn. That's the spot for me. This is I think my one and only social channel, being an old Luddite like I am here. And I will get back to you. So just please reach out, connect with me there. And that is the best and easiest place to get a hold of me.
Dave, thanks for your commitment to the community and the organization, and it's perfect transition to Juanita, because I know you guys are working on some of the same initiatives. So Juanita, welcome in.
Thank you for setting this up, Ronell. You're the GOAT.
Oh, no. I don't know about all that. But anyway, Juanita, you and I, we're new kids on the block here. So I kind of wanted to start with asking you why. What is it what made you want to be involved with Xposure?
Exposure. Right, exposure. It was, I've been in this space over 20 years. So many people know my story. I share it as much as I can, because I believe you can't be what you can't see. And so even as an introvert, I try to share my story as much as possible. So I've been in the contact center space over 20 years. And it wasn't until Kelly tapped me on the shoulder maybe 5 years ago at this point, maybe 3 or 5 years ago. Kelly has to keep me honest. And she said, do you know what the channel is? And I said, Kelly, I don't watch TV. Like, do it look like I got time for TV? And she said, oh, sweetheart, and when she started to explain to me what the channel was, I said, that's crazy to me that I've spent my entire career in the contact center and my entire career doing, contact center consulting, implementations, all these different things, referring business to the channel. And it wasn't until 5 years ago that I really was tapped on the shoulder and explained what the channel was. And so I can only imagine how many other people don't have that level of exposure. And so again, you can't be what you can't see. And so I can't go to that next level if I don't see it. And so I wanted to be able to help join arms, help create what that looked like for someone else. And so as Dave alluded to, that's part of what we're working on the exposure front.
So why? Like, why does it matter to you? Like, to
because when you impact people, again, back to being in this space for 20 years and not knowing, do you know how much money, like, just do you know how much money I've missed? right? Do you know how that has impacted my family? Do you know how that has impacted the community? And so I firmly believe one of the reasons that I even have Solid Rock, the organization that I run, is because I firmly believe that if you can impact a person's income, you can impact a person's family. And if you can impact a family, you can impact the community. And if you can impact the community, you can impact the city. And if you can change a city, you can change a state. And if you can change the state, like we say in all of our team meetings, when we end our team meetings at SRC, let's go impact the world, right? And so I believe that that fundamentally goes to the economic state of individuals. And so when we have exposure to different streams of income, career pathing, when we actually have that exposure, then we can impact people. And when we impact people, we change the dynamics of their family, the economic structure, how they show up in the world, the choices that they make, right? People not out here just waking up saying, I want to be a jerk today, or I want to be a bomb today. We don't wake up and say, I don't want to be the best that I can be, right? We get there because we don't have exposure to more. We don't have exposure to the channel. I didn't have exposure to that. And I had spent my entire career in the contact center space. And so if I can shorten that path for anybody else to say, hey, the channel is not a TV show, right? The channel is a means to increase your
Sometimes
income.
it's a TV show.
It may be, it is. Yeah, it's very hilarious. It's a comedy, if anything. I'm just just joking. I'm too funny. But anyway, it's not that. It's a means to make sure that we're able to it's a means to make sure that we're able to impact people in their lives.
So can you speak a little bit to the work that you and Dave are tasked with doing? Because I think that aligns with that mission, that personal mission that you have in being involved with Xposure.
Yes, mentorship. So what Dave and I are working on right now is how do we create mentorship, self-paced as well as, one-on-one opportunities, and to help navigate people, right? Get them to the channel, but then also help them navigate whether that everybody's not an entrepreneur. So you might say, okay, well, I want to navigate the channel from a career pathing standpoint. What does that look like? Or I am an entrepreneur. I want to navigate the channel as a business opportunity. What does that look like? I'm not familiar with business, but I really want to explore that option. So the mentorship path that we are really working on right now is figuring out how do we put that together in a way that is digestible and creates exposure.
No pun intended. I love it. You love saying exposure. I think that's what it is. You just we're gonna create the Juanita drinking game. Every time Juanita says exposure, everyone take
Kelly said exposure, and I was like, yeah, makes sense.
Well, Juanita, as we first of all, thank you for answering those questions, and thank you for being involved with Xposure as one of the fellow new kids. Really excited to work with you and the rest of the new class of board members as we get into as we transition to Rockstar. I like saying we're gonna call rock. We're gonna call rock.
Definitely Rockstar. Definitely.
Juanita, can you let folks know what's the best way to reach you, and if they want to help with your mentorship mission that you and Dave are working on, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, all the places, right? Primarily LinkedIn, though. I'm always on LinkedIn. You can definitely find me there. But I think when it comes to mentorship, like I said before, you can't be what you can't see. So if there is something that you are interested in learning, then I think submit that information. And then if there's a way that you can help mentor, we need help, all the help we can get. So we'd love to have you.
Thank you, Juanita. Rock.
Hey.
How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
Fantastic. So, for the few members of our community that do not know you, let's give them a little bit of background. First, you're involved, you're a board member now at Xposure, but you are absolutely not a newcomer as it relates to community service and working with nonprofits in our space.
Yeah.
Can you tell little people a little bit about the work that you've done in the past prior to coming here?
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be here amongst these, phenomenal leaders. And that's just, I know each and every one of you, but just hearing you guys, I'm like, yay, that's why I joined them. They're just awesome. But like many of the leaders here, I have been in this industry for 32 years. Been at the channel for about 16 years and have had the pleasure of doing some work with Alliance of Channel Women. And that organization served in many capacities, was executive board member there, really focused on doing the work that we do here within Xposure, but really focused for women within the industry. And so today, I was, served my time there, really helped driving change, even getting us to look at even how we even invite our brethren to the table, knowing that we need you all to advocate for us and to help us, push the objectives along, to help us be better and being able to get some wins behind our belts. And so after doing that for a while, seeing what Kelly and team were doing here, I'm like, it's time that I go over on that team. And so again, honor to that an opportunity afforded itself for me to be here with you all.
Well, I know that we're all excited to work with you and that you bring such great experience to our board. Um, Having been an observer and been involved in some other organizations, what is kind of your vision or your hope for what we can accomplish and do here at Xposure?
Yeah, I hate to be repetitive. I believe that Brandon and Dave stated it, as did Kelly. My hope is what they said, is that, the conversations and the initiatives that we're having to form and have today, that we don't have to have them, within the next 3 to 5 years. I'm very passionate about this work, have been for many years. And what I say is that, I want to hopefully experience my grandchildren being able to enter this space or any other space. That's one of the things that drove me to Xposure, is that I saw that while Kelly and team initially was passionate about the telecom and the technology space, but the work was going beyond that. They were doing things that in the places that we live in and that we serve in outside of work. And that was attractive to me. And so it's my hope that the work that we do today will prevent this next generation from having to do that same work. They'll be able to evolve as we are doing right now, but they'll be taking it to like 5.0, but they're not having these very elementary conversations about safe places and, who should belong and who shouldn't belong, and culturally, are we doing the right things? They're doing it on a whole different level. So that's what I hope. And actually, I'm not going to say I hope, that I know that that's what we're going to see and experience.
There we go. So can you tell us a little bit about the work that you're tasked with doing as one of our board members?
Sure. So I have community, which I think is that says a lot, because I think it touches on everything that all the other board members have, but really beginning to look at how do we, as we are evolving, we're rebranding again, shout out to you and your team for the amazing work that you guys are doing. And by the way, you're making it a little hard for folks, to follow you, because you're doing such an amazing job.
Thank you for that.
But it's well deserved. But it's for being the team to really think about how do we really serve the community that we're trying to serve. What type of programs, initiatives can we come up with to help meet people where they are? You look at Dave and Juanita, who's talking about, how do they mentor folks to come into the space, to be entrepreneurs, or to look at being a professional completely different. So, when they do that, how do we then create programs that can serve the masses? So maybe there's not folks who wants to be entrepreneurs, or that they're already here that needs mentoring. How do we support their initiative? So really it's about building a community. I think that the other thing that's important in that, as I think about community, is how do we, connect with other organizations that are similar to ours.
Mm-hmm.
How do we align ourselves with them to do this work, and to build the community and support the community. And again, the community is not, Kelly said, Black and brown folks, but it's really reaching beyond that. Let me look at Dave. And there's many others like that. So it's really, how do we build this new community, and build a program that can support us and help people meet them where they are today in their careers today and beyond.
Okay, so here's the question. So outsider looking in, they're everyone's being introduced to our board members, and you just said, you made mention kind of in this.
Just say it.
You brought attention to Dave, right? You're like, and there's us, and then there's Dave. So I'm going to ask you, as being part of leading our initiative and community, who do we serve? Because there's a bunch of Black people on this board. Who are we? Is Xposure for Black people? Who does Xposure serve?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Xposure serves all. We have so many people within this community. One of the things that I'm going to revert back to the Alliance of Channel Women that I began to challenge when I was on that board, I began to tell my sisters that were on the board with is that, look, this is not just a gender thing. While we're focused on the gender, and helping us move forward, even within women, do you know that there are women of different ethnicities? And at that time, I'm like, look at me. I was the first African-American woman that served on that board. And by the way, there were not a lot of people, Black and brown women, walking in those rooms of Alliance of Channel Women. And I said, so, we need to look at ethnicities, think about, who you love, for the right for people to love who they want to love, and how do we embrace them? So, Xposure is the same way. It's just not about race. It's not about, gender. It's about all of those things. It's about, the right to be able to serve, the religion or have the faith that you want to have and be supported in that within this community. So no, it's not just about, people that look like you and I. It's about people, human beings. And I think that Brandon touched upon it. And I've always said, we have to be the change that we want to see and experience. And that's everybody as human beings.
100%. So this was not planned, but now I'm going to go a little off script, and I'm going to double down on that a little bit. So, okay. Because obviously outsider looking in, you're like, oh, there's 6 Black folks. This is a Black organization. What you are seeing is leaders in our community. And what I hope that people understand is that for us to get to this point, we've had to overcome a lot. And through the process of overcoming, we understand and can relate to everyone at a higher level, folks that may feel oppressed, folks that feel like they're the outsider, because we've all felt that and we've had to overcome it. So we are unafraid because we've been through the battle. So we're unafraid to raise our hand up and say, listen, I got you. I can advocate for you. I'm going to help. I'm going to help you to not go through what I've been through. So it's beyond just Black folks. So I think that it's important to bring that up. Why you will see on our board probably more Black folks is because we are unafraid because we've been through it. So I don't mean to speak for all of my board members, but I think that it's something that we should probably talk about and address openly, so people can understand why they may be seeing that at this point in time. But the board has been filled with people of all different types of backgrounds. I will applaud the process for becoming a board member, which is not, it was thorough. It was thorough. And they put us through the ringer to make sure that we had the right motives before coming aboard. I was like, I thought I was good. What do you mean? I got another meeting? I got
questions and that's it, right? But anyway. I appreciated it though, especially I think that Kelly, Brandon, and team, they were very intentional as to the work that they do. They lead by example, which also makes it very easy to get behind this organization. Is that the leaders, the visionaries of this, I'm going to call it Actually, I'm gonna go back to this organization. I'm gonna keep it PI. The leaders and the visionaries, they lead they lead by example, and they're passionate, and they don't just talk about it. Like you said, they walk the
There we
walk
go.
each and every day. So yeah, so this is not just about the you and the me, the folks that look like us. It truly is about the masses.
I would, and again, I love what you just said, doubling down on that. I think to the person, if y'all look at the current board and you look at the work that we've done, you look at our track record, you'll see that we are all folks that are unafraid and have been doing it and will do it whether we're on a board or not. Rock, tell people what's the best way that they can get a hold of you, they can connect with you in order to support the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. LinkedIn, like everyone else. I'm on Instagram as RockHer, RAQHER. Look forward to connecting and seeing you guys soon.
Thanks, Rock. All right. Last but certainly not least, and Michaela, I'm excited to have a brief conversation with you because I have observed your work with the organization. You are a new board member, but you are not new in terms of the work that you've been doing in the organization. And I've seen that, I've watched that, and I respect that. I want to ask you the same question that I asked Rock. Who do we serve from your perspective?
Yeah, I think that's a great question in thinking about community. We serve the community in the channel, but we serve those who have felt like they were unheard or felt like they didn't have a place in the channel. For myself, I'm the newest to the channel from the board, probably the newest from people who are watching this. And when I came into just telecommunications in general, I was trying to learn my way, figured out that I really liked working with people, but I still had this knack for DE&I. Culture and belonging in the same, but I didn't feel like I belonged. So I had this interest and I knew I had this passion for it. And I was in this space trying to learn and grow while not feeling like I was supposed to be in the space. And I felt it was really important that folks didn't feel how I felt. I always say thank God for Kelly, because Kelly made sure that I didn't feel completely like an outsider and always brought me under her wing as much as she could and elevated me, but also helped me learn to contribute in the way that I could best. But yeah, who do we serve? We serve everyone. We serve everyone and anyone who's looking to grow, anyone who's trying to find a space and a foothold in the channel or any other arena that we support. We serve everybody, honestly.
So, like I made mention before, you've been doing work with and for Xposure for quite some time, and you decided to step up and put your name in the hat there to join the board. Why? What was the reason that you wanted to be a board member?
Full transparency, I did not want to be a board member. Kelly asked me before we formalized the transition to being a board member, and I said no for the exact reason I wanted to leave the channel. And I did end up leaving the channel. And it was because I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like I belonged as a board member of this organization, not only because I was so new, but there wasn't a lot of me. And then also I felt that I had some feelings towards navigating the channel and how committed was the channel really to becoming an inclusive space for all people. But Kelly was like, we need that though. We need that person who looks at it critically, looks at the space critically, understands what needs to change, sees it's not changing, and is willing to find a way to make that change. And as she convinced me, I was like, okay, you're right. I think this is a great space for me to grow, but not only to grow, but to show the contribution that folks of my age or identity can bring and contribute to the space to help evolve it and make sure it continues to exist. Because if we continue to stay the same, we will phase out like everything else. We work in technology. We know how innovation works. So that was why I joined. I realized that I did have a lot to contribute point of view wise, but also the work I'm doing is a lot different than the work that all of you do on a day-to-day. I research culture, belonging, identity, All of that all day, every day. I'm creating programs all day, every day. So why not do that for a space that I actually really do feel passionate about?
So speak to us a little bit about the work that you're doing at Xposure. What are you tasked with?
Yeah, so I am tasked with creating the culture and belonging programming. The most recent activation for that has been our culture index survey. So that is a self-paced survey where you can pretty much look at and assess how your organization is doing. And that's anyone. It can be a leader, it can be middle management, it can just be a contributor on a team. But coming in and answering these questions to understand, where does my organization lie when it comes to culture and belonging? Where are we doing really well? Where can we improve? What have we not thought of that we should implement, even if we're doing a great job? So the idea around that survey is, one, to get awareness around, what is culture and belonging? I think there is this idea that culture and belonging isn't important to being a successful organization, that culture and belonging and DE&I are both an attack on success for all people. But this survey is to show, you may already be doing this work, and it may already be very important to what you do in your day-to-day and how you hit your dollar. But beyond that, how can you get better at that? I think every organization is looking for a way to innovate and be better. So the survey is to help you understand, where do we stand? Where can we grow?
Very nice. Very nice. So like, how can folks get involved in that, or how can they get access to this survey for their company?
Yeah, so you will see in our newsletter coming out soon a link to the survey there. It will be on our website. And then beyond that, if you take the survey and you realize that you need some more curated support for your organization, or you really want to take that dive into investing in culture and belonging, we'll have some steps to get connected with our team, and we'll come in and do some one-on-one work with your teams and look at your organization and how we can elevate.
So my last question for you, Michaela, you shared your experience coming into this space. Through the work that we're doing, what do you hope that experience is like for the next Michaela that comes into our space? What are you hoping that we can accomplish?
I hope that there's a lot more Michaelas in the space. And that means bringing in younger folks, bringing in diversity of just identity in general. I have a plethora of identities. And so hoping to see more folks who are like me and not like me, and not so much of just the atypical identity that we see majority of the channel composed of. And the other piece is that folks listen, but also support. You can't support without listening. And once you listen, you'll want to support. I think that is something that we really can look back introvertly, even for myself, not getting so caught up in the day-to-day work. And I got to make sure I hit my number, and I've got to make sure I call back these 20 million customers, but check in on your people and make sure your supporting staff and team are okay too, that they aren't falling behind because they don't know, or that they're not being forgotten about, and that what they are bringing to the table to contribute in that space is being taken seriously. And also holding yourself accountable to do all the things that someone did for you to get you where you're at.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So, if you could please share the best way for people to connect with you, to reach out and to get involved.
LinkedIn will definitely be best. So Michaela Adolphus on LinkedIn. Instagram is a little more personal. So if you want the personal side, Michaela, so Mikaela and 444 _. It's kind of long, so just get me on LinkedIn.
So I'm going to start to bring our board members back up for us to kind of bid you all adieu. I do think it's probably fair that I answer a question or two really quick. So I'm going to, I see Brandon shaking his head. I'll tell you what, Brandon, I put everyone on the spot. So I'm going to bring Brandon up. He can ask me a question, and then we'll bring the board up and we'll wrap this bad boy up. I want to thank all of you for your participation in this. I'm seeing some of the comments, and Mary Tom, thank you for joining us. Ebony, Dominic, Michael, we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us and getting to know the board. So before Brandon asked me his surprise question, I'm gonna tell y'all what my role is at Xposure, what I'm focused on. So I'm really focused on our marketing and growing our brand and serving you guys, our community. And so what that means is curating content, finding creative ways to serve y'all, to bring you the information that you need when you need it, and to kind of be the tip of the spear for Xposure's mission, right? Like to make sure that our messaging is getting out there and getting distributed to as wide of an audience as possible. And so, yeah, if you want to, I'm not too hard to find. If you feel like you can be helpful, we're certainly looking for collaboration, whether that's from other organizations, for folks that want to get involved and spread the message. Like Brandon said, the very best thing you can do is just do something as an individual. So if you see our content, engage in it, share on it, comment if you dig it. If you don't dig it, comment. We don't want to discriminate. We want to know how you guys are feeling. We want to know what you're thinking about. And that helps us to further curate our content and our discussions internally around what matters the most to you. At the end of the day, this is about community. It's not about any of us. It's about serving you all. And so in order for us to serve y'all, we need to know what matters the most. All right, BK, what you got for me?
Right. I've been itching to do this, so I'm glad you gave me the opportunity. And before I throw my question, I'm gonna frame the question in there. All right. First thing is you're a successful business owner, been that for a while. You don't really need exposure for that. You have a brand that's bigger than probably 99% of the people that I see on LinkedIn, right? So not exposure, not really going to help you with that. If anything, some can say you can only take an L from attaching yourself to something as disruptive or controversial as exposure. And I don't know many people that are busier than you are, and that's something people tell me a lot. Well, I like what you guys are doing, but I do this at work, I do that at work, I got these, I don't really have the time and all this kind of stuff. So when I look at you, your status, your brand, your schedule, the demands on your time, and yet I also look at how you have quickly and efficiently prioritized the work that you do for Xposure. I'm actually the same question you asked us. Why? Like, why do you do this?
So this is real raw now. Because I give a shit. It really comes down to that. Like, people do. It's I'm a guy that's also been a fitness guy and worked out for my whole adult life, and I've always heard people talk, "Oh, I don't have time. You prioritize what's important to you, and so that's and you make the time. And so fitness is important to me. This is important to me, and I'll share this with everyone that's watching this. One of the reasons why I wanted to be involved with Xposure, number one, is I respect the folks that are involved. Every single one of our board members, I respect y'all 100%. Like, I know y'all are really about this. But when y'all interviewed me, Brandon, you remember this, I told y'all that while I will appreciate being involved with the organization, I'm going to do what I do regardless. Like, so like, I didn't need this organization or this brand to co-sign for me. With all due respect, y'all have done great work. Xposure will continue to do good work, but what drives me is something bigger than that. And so this was an opportunity for me to align with like-minded people and really do something special, make big impact, because I can only, as big as my brand is, I can only do so much on my own. And so being able to be part of this community and join forces with the X-Men over here, and I'm gonna call us as the X-Men because we're rebels to a certain extent. We're the X-Men. So to be able to be involved with the X-Men, like, it just, I knew that it would help me to accomplish more. and I'm unafraid, Brandon. I'm unafraid. Like you made mention of, people's pushback on the pledge and all that. That just, some of that just bothers me, because I feel like there's always a reason to not do something.
Yeah.
There's always a reason. But if we can make an impact, if we can change one person's life, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Right. So anyway, that's my reason for this work is part of my life's work. For y'all that follow me on social media, maybe you're seeing some of this stuff. My mother just recently sent me a bunch of stuff from my childhood, and I've been posting it on Instagram. So there's some newspaper articles about my work with the NAACP when I was a teenager, and all this different stuff. So like, it's part of my mission, and I'm just really proud and grateful to be able to work with you all, to help to I don't know, to take that whole thing that's in me to hopefully to another level and serve even more people. So that's it.
I appreciate that, and I will say, and it will come as no surprise to anyone, but I appreciate how you brought your whole self to this effort.
Thank you, sir. You got one question. That was it.
I'm good.
I hope that was your best one.
I'm good. Honestly, I thought about it on the fly, so it's something I actually wanted to know.
So as we're closing here, again, I want to thank everyone for joining us. I hope that this was beneficial for you. I'd love it if our founding members could say a couple of words just in closing. So Brandon, you want to start?
Yeah, I'm gonna go first so that my sister can close. And actually, I'm gonna start with all due respect to everybody that's on this board now, and for everyone who participates in Xposure. My close is to actually thank my sister, because she saw something, and instead of like a lot of people talking about things or complaining about things or whining about things or convincing about things, she got together us in the beginning, expressed her heart, and that's really why I want to be a part of this. So I appreciate everyone being here, but without her, none of this happens. So that's what I get.
Thank you. And I'm extremely inspired by each of you. Our new inside joke is Kelly made me do it, but it's really, it is something that weighed heavily on my heart. And like you, Ronell, I've been doing this work for a long time, for, creating panel discussions in undergrad, and, bringing 5 people together, bringing hundreds of people together to talk about the mission of making our communities in our world a better place, one person at a time. And the reason why this is such a passion project for me in a space here in the channel is because not only does tech and telecommunications deserve to hear the voices of the underrepresented people, but also it is such an opportunity to build wealth, which, like Juanita shared earlier, helps to change our experience and how we experience this world. And transitioning professionals you're welcome here. It takes more. I like to say this too. It takes more than coders and developers and web designers to build software and telecommunications. You have to have analysts. You have to have lawyers. You have to have biz dev. You have to have consultants. You have to have all these pieces, and you can truly transition and transform your life by transitioning into telecommunications. We've seen it. We've all experienced it. No matter how short our stint was or how long it's been, we've all experienced what that means for us. So honestly, I just want to say thank you to the board. I also think that powerful things happen when you have the right group of people together. And I cannot wait to see how much more we can do this year. We've already done a few community events. We have some strategic partnerships that we are going to be announcing later in the year, and opportunities to interact with us in the real world, so at events. But I'm grateful for the work that each one of you all are doing and contributing. And for everybody that's listening and joining us, join us. You've heard from each one of us what our lane is right now. Either come and contribute to that lane or come and say, hey, here's another opportunity. Would you guys be willing to work on? And let us have the space to evaluate it and take it on if it's something that we need to be doing. But I'm really excited about the rest of this year. And as we move into next year, thank you, thank you, thank you. See you guys soon.
Thank you all for joining us. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, board. And we out.